Hello, world. As you can see, it's MAGA's country. And welcome to another episode of Americana. I'm Willie, Montague.
And I'm Shakhea Hinton.
Well, today we're asking the questions too many are avoiding about power, accountability, leadership in the future of this country, because real leadership isn't about performance. Only here do we have honest conversations about where America is and where it is headed, because this is Americana. Coming up on today's show, we're tackling 4 hot button issues. Should the U.S. deport criminal migrants even without the cooperation of local government? President Trump's claim that the Civil Rights Act led to reverse discrimination against white Americans. Whether the Constitution is still the supreme authority or just a reference point, and whether America is experiencing something close to dictatorship. It is not. But before we get there, let's go ahead and get on in, because I see the eyes rolling. I already see y'all clicking buttons and going on. Immigration authorities have estimated that hundreds of thousands of non-citizens in the U.S. have criminal convictions, and the fight is now over whether federal agents should be allowed to remove them even when local cities and counties refuse to cooperate.
So what's your question, my friend? Before we get started, if you see me glance away from you, it's because I can't take you serious with this hat.
Right. It's the holiness.
And how dare you try and wear red today?
This is in support of you.
Oh.
That's all I got.
Great support.
It's all the red.
Yeah.
But this whole sanctuary city thing that continues to be conversations, I don't agree with sanctuary cities, for the one thing. The second thing is, should the local government cooperate? Absolutely. But when you have individuals in certain states, when you have local municipalities that continue to really fight against the federal government and coming in to really protect all citizens, that's the thing for me. It's like, in a conversation piece, why is it such a fight when we're trying to clean up our local cities, not just with the federal government, but even in our local backyards?
Well, my first question to you would be, what municipality or what state, what sanctuary city is not cooperating with federal demands?
I don't want to mention this place, but there's a place that begins with orange. And in that, it was something where they were literally trying to go and revisit the contract that was put down by the governor to see if they really, if they didn't have to fully cooperate with what the federal government was doing as far as getting these illegals out of here. And so now most people may not be outright saying we are not going to cooperate with the federal government, but they are doing their best to find a loophole around, making it like, they're safe havens, because these individuals should be, and mind you, whether we're saying they're criminal or not, they are illegal. So we're using, for the lack of better terms today, criminal, but I want all illegals to be deported.
Okay, so I would agree with you that folks who hold criminal charges, who have done wrong within their communities, and they are here illegally, should be deported. They should be held accountable for their actions. What I don't agree with you with is that sanctuary cities should comply with federal agents if they do not have to. Now, if there is a nuance within the documentation or within the language that says that they don't necessarily have to cooperate for whatever reason, then I would also say that there should be a safe haven for people who are seeking to become immigrants within this country.
So you don't think they should comply, as long as they're not criminals, that the local municipalities shouldn't have to completely comply if these individuals are trying to do what is right?
If language says that they are allowed to house individuals who are in the process of becoming legal citizens, then yes, they should
I just don't think there need to be any language. And I'm gonna say this, and you guys, I know.
So how do you expect
y'all want
people
me
to
to be
come
a
to this
coon
country?
today?
No, ain't nobody said nothing about coon. You may see yourself as a coon because you got on this damn hat. But hey, a hit dog will holler. But as far as sanctuary cities and immigrants, tell me, what is your idea of how an immigrant should come to this country and become a legal citizen? Like, what's your idea of
I
that?
believe you need to stay where you are first. You need to put in the proper documentation, because when you go to other countries, and I look this up, if you want to be a citizen of, let's use New Zealand, for example, they have things that you need to do, whether you need to work there, example after example. But you have to put in the proper paperwork and things to get there. These individuals don't even have a passport. They don't have anything, a visa. There's nothing that even gives them the permission to even come here temporarily.
So that's one part of an argument, right? The other part of that is that you do have people who are over here on a visa, whether they are in college or they've been brought over here as migrant workers to work on farmlands, that sort of thing, right? And they are still being apprehended when they are doing the due process of going to court, showing up for their hearings to become a legalized citizen. So where is the line of civility?
I hear you with that, but I believe that that's all about the process, Shakhea. I believe that go through the process, because God knows I know about the process today, but go through the process of it. And if you are who you say you are and you're doing it the right way, I don't see the problem with proving. Just like when I get pulled over, I can't just say, I know I'm legal to drive. Well, sir, show me your driver's license.
But here's the thing. Folks are showing their legal documentation,
right,
and they are still getting detained.
But that's not everybody. That's only the part that the media shows because they love mass hysteria.
No. Yes, and media does thrive off of chaos, right? But honestly, there are more American citizens who are being detained and who aren't even being justified when they do show their ID. You can't disagree with that, Willie. I don't care how you got this hat
like it's
sitting
that
on
time
top
again.
of your head.
Okay, President Trump told the New York Times that white people weren't able to get into college and were treated badly because of the Civil Rights Act due to discrimination. I was reading something about this, and the actual Civil Rights Act was actually originally for black men.
And your
then comes black women.
The women's suffrage march.
Then comes now the LGBTQI. All these different
Don't
groups.
be rude.
I'm not being rude.
LGBTQIA.
Alphabets. So then they became part of it with the civil rights. So here we are to this point where he's making it, I believe, and to a degree, that it did become where now people are making it like it's anti-white versus what was it actually trying to do, which was to give equality, because we saw the criminal justice system was disruptive to black men at that time. We saw all those different things for voting and all those things. But at that time, we had more black men in the homes who were doing what they needed to do, who was there for their children, for their wives. And then slowly but surely, because we had this feminist movement arise, we had all these things arise out of this. And now civil rights is not what civil rights were originally intended for. So can you see how now it has become this anti-white movement versus it actually?
No, you will never get me to agree with you on that. I don't care how deeply you try and do research. I will never agree with you that this is reverse discrimination. And let me tell you why. No, not even just that. But let's go back even further than 1964, because that was when the Civil Rights Act was enabled, right? Let's go back to 1837. 1837 is when Cheyenne University, I think, was founded, which is the first historically black college and university campus that was established in the United States. Do you know why HBCUs were created? Because of discrimination.
Okay.
Right? Hold on. So HBCUs were established in this country because black folks, whether male or female, were discriminated against because of the color of their skin. They could not get into the regular Ivy League schools. Segregation wasn't even a thing back then. So historically, it shows that black folks have always been anti-America. America never wanted us to have the same liberties that white folks, especially white men, are now privy to.
But how is that possible when it is proven that America was built on the back of blacks? So
Yeah, we built it, but they don't want us to profit from it.
But who is they?
White folks. So why would you
believe
think
that is a broad stroke?
not all white people? You know how they say not all skin folk, kinfolk? I'm sure you've heard that before.
But yeah, so not what's the rhyme for the white folks?
I don't have a rhyme for the white folks. However, white folks brought us to this country to make a profit, not for us to be a part.
Did white people do that, or was this over?
We finna do this?
I'm just saying, was it really
we
white
don't have
people?
time, but we can do this in Black History Month in February.
We can, because I just want to know, was it really white people? And I'm sorry for
Black
the African
folks,
people out there. Was it the Africans?
Black folks actually did help enslave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it black folks or Africans?
It would be people like yourself.
But where were they from?
It would be people like yourself.
But where were they from?
People who look like you helped enslave us and brought us over here to the United States. But getting back to the topic about civic.
We didn't get to it.
No, we'll get there. We can do that in February.
Okay.
But is this rage bait? Do you think Trump is doing this as a form of rage bait? Because honestly, Willie, Montague, there's no way that you can sit here across from me and tell me that the Civil Rights Act is now being targeted as reverse racism for white people. When you've been in power for so long and equality comes into the conversation, it looks and feels like discrimination, but it's not.
So this goes back to what I've always said. It seems like every time these things pop up, there is an outrage from people of color. But what is alarming to me is how it is only outraged temporarily, but you don't see a solution and you don't see something that is long-standing that helps to stabilize us. Although we have suffered as a people of color.
Oh, you've admitted that.
However, that does not mean we have to or are going to continue to. But if we take on a slave mentality and we take on the mentality of that we are, broke, busted, disgusted, we're poor, we're not treated the same way.
I don't understand why you continue to uplift that same narrative and that framework. And it really hurts my heart to hear you say that repeatedly. And here is why. Because I don't know the circles that you hang with, but the black folks that I hang with, we don't talk like we're poor and broke down and disgusted. We don't have that mentality.
Have
a lot of my friends... Social media can also be false as well, Willie. Like people can actually put on and do things to get money.
Okay.
We can cover that. We can table that for another day. But honestly, the circles that you keep speaks volumes, right? That's what I truly believe. The people that I associate myself with and those who I don't, but it's just like we all aren't poor, broke down, and disgusted. Not all of us are wearing bonnets on our heads, walking outside with no shoes on. All of us do not have this ghetto hood mentality that you seem to really uplift. I am so serious.
I know, but I'm sorry because I just had to pick.
Why is this funny?
Because.
And why is that your only narrative of black folks, especially black women?
I'm sorry, y'all. Because it is Negro behavior that I see often like that, and I'm just laughing. I'm sorry, you guys. Don't take it.
But do you think this is rage bait?
I don't think it's rage bait. I just think that people need to grow up, and I think people need to realize that President Trump is going to say a whole lot of things between now and the next 3 years, and that we need to do what we need to do.
Or 3 months.
You think he's going to croak? She's saying the President of the United States is going to die. So the Constitution was designed to be the highest authority in American life. So the question it goes is, do we think that the Constitution is still the highest or the supreme power in the land?
Mm.
Now, this will be a conversation. I ain't going to argue with y'all because we got people from agencies, we got politicians, everyone is throwing out. And as you said yourself, they're taking parts, and I say for both parties, are taking parts of the Constitution here, parts of the Constitution there. And then this is why I always, I love when, can't think of something, but he's an attorney that said it just needs to be reread. We need to stop trying to rewrite it in our own way and start reading it or rereading it and actually applying it to our lives?
Well, yes, we should reread it. But it also, if while we reread it, it should be implemented across the board. There shouldn't be any type of biasness. There shouldn't be any type of discrimination practices with it. If it's good for the goose, it should be good for the gander, right? But we do have a Supreme Court that has been biasly charged with the Republican Party to side with a lot of their legislation, which then interrupts or either shorthands other demographics of folks that reside in this country. So then my question to you is, when will that change? Do you think that will change once or if Trump is no longer in office? Do you think that will change if the party switches, like where the Democrats run Washington and the White House and all the things? Like, when do you think this would change?
I don't know if it ever, I don't know if there's a trajectory of change that is out here. I think more that it has to be a heart posture of, I'm all about getting back to the foundation, if I be completely honest, about the foundation of which the country was established. Now,
you've said that.
If y'all want to say that the Constitution excluded us, forward moving, however, we are now included. And I think that if we move forward in this country, there is great strides for the people of color. I think we just have to get out of the mindset that there is a savior in our government to be able to do it.
So, and that makes me think, the hat that you wear says, "Make America Great Again."
Correct.
But what decade was America great for all people?
You know, this is what I would say. I believe it was great or can be great based off of your perception. So when I wear this, I'm not talking about whatever Trump's talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about whatever the Democrats may be doing, but I would say it's perception. What is it that we see as something that is going to be great?
So I hear you, but I would have to push back on that. And here's why. A person's perception of their poverty could be one thing, but legislation limits that perception to a certain degree. So you can have a great, perspective on life, like, yes, I'm going to get out of poverty. Yes, I'm going to be able to pay my bills on time. But then you are capped at a ceiling because of legislation. So how can the two coexist?
That's why I was saying the mistake I believe we make is thinking that we have legislation, we have laws that we have to abide, but I think the mistake we make is that we put so much effort into thinking that the government, and this is what I think goes back to where we talked about the great society, that we put so much emphasis on government to be able to dictate whether it's our finances, whether it's our well-being, from insurance to, life insurance, health insurance. But when do we go back and do, like some people, as my mom always like to say, living off the grid? Where do we go back to that place where it's like, well, what happened when we didn't have those things? How, people had, they were bartering. I believe there's systems, and I know that may feel like we're going way back in the era, but I think sometimes we need to go back to before we end up in all this technology and this desires.
But is that really possible, where everything we touch, every part of our life is filled with some type of technology aspect, where your bank account is tied to all sorts of systems? Your phone is connected to so many different apps that has all of your important information. Growing up in church, we talked about the mark of the beast, right? And how when we were growing up, it was like, oh my God, you're going to get a chip in your hand or a chip in your forehead, right? And so I don't think we're too far from that, if I'm being completely honest. But where are we able to even go back and do community how community was done before technology, to your point? I don't know.
I think we can if we take the same, because we talked about this yesterday, we take the same activists that we have and take that activist thrive and that throttle that activists have and change it into, I think this was something that happened in Pennsylvania, but they ended up dropping a bomb on them. Remember, it was a group of people that was kind of similar to the Black Panther, and they were community driven.
Oh,
and they dropped the government dropped the bomb on.
Yes.
So I will go back to that. It's like they were thriving because they knew how to, each one was reaching one, and they're like, we can do this. What you need, what we got. And I think we can do that if we take that same activist mindset, build into a strategy, get out into the community and start bringing, things together and stop feeling like, it's just my beans. It's everybody beans if you're going to build a community. So
I like that.
for the people.
I would say that's the only thing I probably agree with you on today.
Okay, well, with that, praise God. There's been such a change in our government since Trump took office as the 47th, 45th, and 47th president. His presidents, and he was a 46 too, often mirrors a variation of unfamiliar tactics we're seeing other leaders execute. So, the question is, has President Trump erred into being a dictator?
I think there's three realms of this. There is dictatorship that's on the line. There's authoritarianism that's on the line. And I think there is imperialism that's on the line. And they're all interchangeable with Trump. And it's all situational with Trump. If Trump had his way, he would have all three present day without Congress approval, without anybody's approval. The man would just do whatever he wants. He is, actually.
Right. And at the end of the day, now, this is what I say. I know it impacts in a way, but does it really impact us the way we think it does? Or how
Which part?
Any of it? Do we think that what he does or wants to do really impacts us? Or have we allowed for what I call mass hysteria? Have we allowed for what media poses as something that shows us you're impacted this way? You have to feel this way. This is your response you should have because he did this.
No, I think what the people are feeling who are on the ground in Minnesota are feeling it for real without the media being there. I think what we felt in Louisiana when ICE was there, when Chicago was hit with ICE, I think what they felt was real without media hysteria being present. I think you asked the question, and I want to go back to it. You said, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but my answer to it would be this. Hopefully it'll trigger what you remember. My answer to the question would be, Trump imposes fear by allowing government militia to be dispersed in communities that doesn't necessarily need it. Heavily armed forces in a community, in a city, within a county, arises a level of panic already without the media. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Right? So if you see a bunch of tanks or if you see a bunch of folks in military gear, you're automatically like, oh my God, are we in war? Like, what's happening right now? So that is a part of authoritarianism, where it's like a single person who is actually governing everything. And actually that may be dictatorship. But imperialism, and we've kind of seen this with him when it comes to Greenland, he's trying to outstretch his powers across our borders.
But I mean, he mentioned that, but I just think sometimes it's literally to do just what he does, to see where people are, to get people talking and keep his name buzzing. And that's why I say, do we really need to focus on everything that he says and does? Because it's really, he is limited to what he can do. I think that because we think that, oh my God, he did that, he can do that. It was a member of Congress who I cannot stand, Randy Fine, who is the one that, who introduced the bill about making Greenland the 51st state. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think that's disastrous, just like they, well, I don't want to say that part. Okay. So anywho, with that, I just think that it is a disaster of a move, but I think it's also part of us, it's clickbait is what I'm trying to get to.
Well, I don't think we should not pay attention to things that Trump say. If you notice the trend, he's been saying little hints and stuff ever since he ran for office. And we are seeing the fruition of a lot of those little comments that he's made over the last few years. And so I'm just really, we'll see. We need to buckle up our seat to see where this leads.
We shall see.
Yes. And so,
make America great again.
Oh, child. Anyway, shout out to those devastating divas of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Happy Founders Day, sorors. I'm Shakhea Hinton.
And I'm Willie, Montague.
And this is Americana. We will see y'all here, same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good night.